So how do you guys describe the Firefly Funhouse match to somebody that hasn't seen it yet? What was your take? What were they like? If somebody said Bray Wyatt's going to have a Firefly Funhouse match, how do you explain? Okay, what's going to happen in this? Here's the thing. Psychologically, this is the way I looked at it. Firefly Funhouse match is taking place in the mind of Bray Wyatt, or is it taking place in your mind if you're wrestling Bray Wyatt? Like it's a psychological match. Like so where do you think like the setting of that match was like generally the way it was presented? Because they had a lot of hokey stuff that's not realistic, but
it's almost like he's taking you to an alternate dimension,
alternative reality, right?
Yeah, like when like Nightmare on Elm Street, you're having a nightmare, but Freddy's in your nightmare or whatever. Maybe that's
but through John Cena's. He was in John Cena's mind.
Right.
Okay, so he'll get in your mind, and that's where the match takes place, right? That's the theory.
That's psychological warfare.
Well, isn't that what happened when he opened the door?
I guess so. That's why he always says, "Let me in."
Yeah.
Let me in. Let me in your mind. Let me in your mind, and we'll let me in your mind, and we'll have fun.
I don't know. I did. I thought it was good.
I thought it was
much different than when you used to tell Kid Romeo, "Let me in your pants." But
bro, here's the thing with that.
Let me in your room.
Here's the thing with stuff like that is if the story of the match is good. It leaves you guessing what's going to have next. You can suspend your disbelief when stuff like that, when they do stuff like that. Like the Boneyard match and everything. If it's done well and it's telling a story, it works. Like it's not hokey. It's not because here's the thing: when you go to the movies, you're suspending disbelief. It's so it's like okay, we're producing like a movie, and because we're doing it well, it's well done. You're suspending your disbelief. Go ahead.
Let me tell you that to me, this is almost the offspring, a little bit of, and I always used to think, well, why isn't WWE doing this? Like, to me, this is the offspring of the Lucha Underground cinema with Matt Hardy's Final Deletion thing. Like, they put those two together, and this is what came out. And I always think, well, why didn't they do this sooner? One. Two, you had Matt Hardy there. Why weren't you doing this Matt Hardy shit with him and Jeremy? You know what I'm saying?
Vince does not.
Well, yeah, they ran it.
I thought about that.
They ran the woke and Matt Hardy thing when they did a segment, a skit or whatever on his property. It ran in the main event slot of a Raw, and the numbers were good and stuff. I saw Matt talk about this. The numbers were good and everything, but he said that Vince was in the meetings just going, "I don't get it. I don't."
Then why did you fucking hire him?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Why did you hire him?
Well, we said that from the get-go. Russo worked with Vince for 3 years, writing with him and stuff. And he said Vince. He said from the get-go, he goes, Vince McMahon will not get that.
Yeah, and
he just will not understand that. He just won't get it.
The exact quote that he supposedly said in the creative meeting or whatever was, "If this does a number, then maybe time really has passed me by." So
let me imagine that I would bring somebody into AAA, and then they're like, well, this is his gimmick. And I'm like, well, I don't get it. Then why did I hire him to begin with? You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't know Matt was going to come with this from Impact. It was the hottest thing outside of WWE. Yeah. And when he came out with his brother, when he came out with his brother, everybody was yelling delete.
In Orlando, unbelievable.
So why are you taking advantage of that?
First of all, everybody's making a false narrative here, okay? Because everybody on Twitter, this is a broken universe. Bro, Matt Hardy was not the brains behind that. That's Borash. They already have Borash there.
Okay, but he could have, but you could have taken advantage of him. They did nothing with him.
Well, here's the thing.
You could have taken advantage with him and got some good storylines, some good stories, some merchandise, whatever it is. Because he's the guy that was driving that. It might have been Jeremy behind the scenes, but Matt's the guy that was fucking doing it, not Jeremy. So
but he's producing that weird universe stuff that Vince doesn't understand. And I think what's happened is because Jeremy's so close to Triple H right now that they have finally convincing Vince to start doing this stuff. Because if it's well done, it works.
Yeah, here's an idea I've had. Just get rid of house shows because they're not drawing well anyway. Use that extra time and resources and put it into like TV production for stuff like this, like more cinematic things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the reason they did it is simply because they can't draw. Like, they're not drawing now. It was a 0 gate for WrestleMania, and it's already a total loss. You might as well try something new.
Isn't it funny, like the creative people like save the day? It's like the rest. Seriously, I mean that's what happened. Hang on.
Plus, with no house shows, your talent's going to take less bumps. They got less miles on them. You know what I mean? And I think if you do more creative stuff like that, then they'll even get over more.
The only thing
it's like win-win.
Well, it's like they said about that Undertaker cemetery match or whatever it was last night. That could add 10 years on his run. Just do that with him. You could even put him out there with Sting, and they could do enough tricks and whatever story and camera tricks to have the Undertaker Sting match. Finally, it just won't be a traditional match. You know,
I think this may be the day that wrestling might have changed a little bit, where you might start seeing more of that to take care of guys that are hurt or can't go anywhere.
Here's the weird thing too: is if like hypothetically speaking, you're in the creative meetings, you're in the booking team, and you're with Vince McMahon and stuff. It's like you would just try to convince him. It's like, dude, it's like you're selectively like because the whole thing is about the suspension of disbelief. Like Vince doesn't see it. I don't see this. Hogan, I just don't get it. It's everything. But it's like, well, what about do you say to people that don't get the Undertaker character? Like the guy's supposed to be like a dead man. It's like, and you're using that guy in your show. So it's like, it's just.
Yeah, and he appeared behind AJ Styles. Like, that's really.
But right. So it's like, well, no. Even before old Undertaker would do weird, hokey stuff. Yeah. Like he'd be in the casket. You open the casket, he's not there. It's like, so it's kind of hypocritical to think like you're not willing to do this when a lot of the stuff you've done in your past has been very hokey.
Kane, the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. And it's just like,
why?
Yeah. But I bet you he probably does not have people that will argue with him on stuff like that in there, and should try to convince him.
Not.
Okay, real quick, because I give this a T for tremendous. What was your favorite part, Matthew, of that segment?
100% the Saturday night's main event.
That was great.
No, I thought the NWO stuff was funny.
That was
great too, but I love that theme and I love that entrance. Back when I was a kid, oh my god, that was perfect.
Yeah.
You, Josh?
I like the puppet Vince McMahon being like, "It's such good shit."
Yeah.
That was great too. How about you, Joe M?
I think those two kind of nailed it. I just really appreciated that. Like John Cena is a good actor.
Yeah,
he's actually a good actor.
Yep.
Here's the funniest thing about John Cena.
He's going to have a big year, man.
Remember years and years and years ago where John Cena would always pick on The Rock for going and doing movies?
Right.
It's like, I was like, and I was saying, I bet you he does movies someday. And he'll be like, but it's like.
He did an interview.
Somebody brought up in yesterday's show, and it might have been Joe, where he was saying that we might even expect to see Husky Harris because he had brought his name up in the promo before, remember?
Yeah.
What did you like, Joe, of that segment?
I like the NWO stuff. I was looking. I was like, man, I wonder if they actually had Eric come in and do something when they started showing his.
Eric had a Twitter post right after the match. You see that?
No.
It's like, wow, I got fired in October and then the main event in April. So who's ever done that before?
That's great.
But
didn't he get hired in October?
He got hired and fired in October.
Yeah.
What did you like about it, Di? That segment?
Just the production, the storytelling, the intrigue that I'm watching. What are they doing next? And like the way it just flowed from.
Bro, let me tell you one thing, and I think you all got the same thing because you all listen to the show, so you know that really about the only person I like on any show is The Fiend. That's it, because they haven't really fucked him yet. The one time with that one match, which still pisses me off, but when he walked into the room, when John Cena walked into the room. And the puppets came out, I knew right there. I knew this shit's gonna be great. Yeah. When they started appearing.
Yeah.
Plus, I was saying because I was a little confused at the beginning when he's like throwing the cheap hokey punches and he ducked, and throwing punch and he ducked, I was like.
You're saying ruthless aggression, I think, right?
Well, I'm just saying it was weird. I go, where are they going here? I'm like, and then he says like, oh, it's kind of like it's a mind trip, that he's taking him up. But like at the beginning, it's like, the work was looking hokey, and I'm like, this, I'm like, God, it's kind of like, I go, well, those are shitty punches, but I think it was meant to be me my first John Cena, I'm green, it's like, so like, this kind of went through the evolution.
It was also John Cena realizing that he's not in the reality that he thinks he's in. Also,
I tell you, I would, Konnan, how fun would it be if they gave if me, you, and Borash got to produce one of those? All the weird shit.
Epic, bro, epic.
Max like, Moon geez. For sure.
Epic. Okay,
you better hope whatever I do, you bring hits.
Huh?
They entertain people with 15-minute segment probably is like how many bumps were in that? Like 2, 3.
Nothing. It was just it wasn't. There was a
And they
story
didn't,
of who's
they didn't
going.
even need him. That was
The story was
I
who's
didn't
going
need it at
over.
all. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you do
which-
stuff like that, you could have you could send Ric Flair out there for a match.
right.
Disco. Also, the lack of bumps and big moves proved that Bray Wyatt was kind of worthless on my FanDuel squad there. So.
Oh yeah, you had Bray Wyatt. I killed Johnny Fairplay. I didn't, bro. I would have gotten.
I won 5
25 cents. It was
Did
a
you
free
win?
play. I won 25 cents.
I won 5 cents.
I finished in the top 10%, and Daniel Bryan only got me 1.5 points.
Bum.
Let me just say
Bet on
that.
wrestling?
There was on FanDuel they had a wrestling tournament for free.
I bet you they
You could
do
play
it.
like a FanDuel wrestling. They had like significant strikes, pinfalls, kickouts.
Yeah.
Bro,
Go
Why
through a
did you
table.
imagine that?
Oh, did you have Edge? Because I got the only table points in the whole thing.
I had-
You're putting it through a table, you get 3.5 points.
I had Orton. Yeah.
I'll tell you, the WWE writers must be making bank on that.
If they were,
They should be if they're not.
No,
Like when they used to-
They're all nerds, bro.
I texted Dolph Ziggler. I said, "Hey, bro, I picked you. I go, there's a FanDuel tournament. There's a WrestleMania FanDuel tournament. I go, I picked you. I picked you. You're only $12. He goes, make sure you get your shit in tonight."
And he turned out being good for like 3.5 points or something.
I'll tell you what.
Dolph did. I didn't pick him though.
Yeah.
So.